Ladies and gentlemen, today we're checking out crazy disorders that actually give you superpowers, starting with...
Number 7. Extra limbs.
Oh, that's a real
Polymorphia
thing?
is a rare birth defect in which an affected individual is born with more than the usual amount of limbs.
I did not need to see that.
In most cases, the extra limb is usually shrunken or deformed in some way and of not much use.
So you're telling me that I can't be born as 4 arms from Ben 10? That's not possible.
But one case in India showed otherwise. Deepak Paswan was a boy from India with 1 head, 4 arms, and 4 legs. The limbs were relatively fully formed and also appeared fully functional.
Okay, guys, I actually remember hearing about this, and apparently people in India actually thought that this guy was a literal god. They thought that, like, because he had these extra limbs, that he was the chosen one from one of the Indian gods, which, I mean, don't get me wrong, I might believe that too if I actually saw this person, because that's insane that somebody could be born with double the amount of limbs that they should actually have. Like, imagine having 4 legs. What would you even do? Would you be twice as fast?
Imagine the power you would wield with 4 hands. At the foosball table. You'd be undefeatable.
You could 2v1 anybody.
VR with 4 legs. In the Hindu religion, gods are often depicted with numerous limbs. So as news spread of the quote-unquote Octo Boy, pilgrims soon...
Okay, I don't know if I would want that name, Octo Boy. That sounds like such a weird X-Men superhero that is not that powerful. I would want to be like 4 arms sounds pretty powerful, or like Super Limbo, or 4 legs.
Traveled from
those are bad.
all over India to worship him as an incarnation of their gods. Until scientists figure out that the extra limbs were actually from a parasitic twin that hadn't developed properly in the womb and had somehow fused with him. Turns out he also didn't actually have control over the extra limbs either. They were just kinda glitching every now and then. So to improve Deepak's quality of life, the extra limbs were cut off, and ever since, he's been able to live a relatively normal life.
Okay, that sounds horrible, guys. It started out amazing, where people were worshiping him, and he had these extra limbs, and he was super good at Dance Dance Revolution. But it turned south very quickly, and it turns out that he no longer has the extra limbs. So they took away his superpowers.
Much to the dismay of the pilgrims. Number 6. Supermemory. Hyperthymestic syndrome is a condition that allows people...
Why does that sound so painful?
...to remember abnormally large numbers of life experiences.
Big brain.
Sounds like a cheat code to life, right? You'd be the world's most famous walking encyclopedia and win millions of dollars in popular trivia game shows.
That is true, guys. You would remember everything. You would remember everything from school, everything that you ever read, every random fact, every person that you ever met, which sounds like a good thing, but in reality... I don't know. It seems like it could be very, very sad as well, because you would remember not only every good thing that happened to you, but also you would remember all of the bad things. Or like, let's say you had like a really bad injury, or you went through something horrible, like losing a family member. You would remember that over and over and over again, like it just happened. And the best thing is about time is that over time, you kind of forget all of the bad things. Or at least they don't really feel like they happened that recently. But with something like this, where you remember everything like it just happened, I don't know. That could be pretty sad, and I don't know if I would want this superpower.
But in reality, hyperthymesiacs cannot choose what memories are permanently stored in their brains.
Oh, that's even worse.
Information like memorizing schoolwork would be treated as trivial. So unfortunately, they won't be doing well on any tests at school.
But what do they actually remember?
What they are great at is remembering that one time they let a big one rip in the school cafeteria.
That's so sad.
Remembering these highly personal events can often be very embarrassing or traumatic. But could you imagine dating a hyperthymesiac? Hey babe, I'm going to the store to get some milk. Wait! Are you going to leave me like Mark did on the 3rd of January 1984?
Oh, no.
Babe, no. How about like Peter did on the 8th of April 1991? No, what are you talking about? Oh, okay then. Don't forget to buy the low-fat milk this time. Oh yeah, sure, honey. Unlike the time you forgot it on the 21st of September.
Wait, that would actually be horrible. Like literally living with somebody that can remember every bad thing that you've ever done to them. That would be insane because they could just tell you about it 24/7.
97 and the 13th of November 1999 and the 16th of June 2002.
Bye.
He's gonna leave me.
See you later, butthead.
Yeah, the vast majority of hyperthymesiacs find it really difficult to sustain long committed relationships, leading to a lack of social connections
What's up with the
and
poop?
loneliness. Number 5. Exoskeleton armor.
What?
Fibrodysplasia ossificans progressiva.
Okay, why do all of these superpowers have such, like, horrible sounding names? Fibrodysplasia ossificans progressiva. That sounds so painful, and maybe it actually is.
Also known as Stoneman syndrome, is an extremely rare genetic condition that allows some individuals to rapidly heal themselves when damaged.
Oh, so
But there's
real
a
life
catch.
Wolverine.
Imagine a person suffers a surface injury. Instead of replacing the skin tissue with more skin tissue, the
Okay.
body replaces it with bone instead.
Wait a second. How does that even work? You're telling me that they could literally, instead of having my normal skin, that I could have bone as skin, which sounds cool at first, don't get me wrong, guys, but like that, I don't know. Like your bones are supposed to be under your skin for a reason, right? The fact that this person maybe has a bone that's replacing the skin that they lost, or like imagine just getting like a simple scratch, and then instead of your skin repairing it, you have like little bone fragments. So over time, as you get injured and then as bad things happen to you, you would eventually turn into the Thing from Fantastic Four, which does not sound very fantastic at all.
This process is called ossification. Can you imagine what would happen if you injured all your skin?
Oh,
You'd form an exoskeleton-like layer of armor made of pure bone.
I mean, it sounds pretty epic.
Literally be a superhuman. But in depressing reality, this disorder is almost 100% fatal.
Oh,
The issue
but
is
why?
that the body ossifies all damaged tissue, which can make joints stiff and be dangerous to internal organs.
see, guys, this is what I was saying, that you have your skin for a reason, and the bones are where they're at for a reason. Like, the fact that we could have bones everywhere sounds really cool, but at the same time, yeah, like this guy just said, if you even have, like, your organs injured, they're not going to repair themselves like they should. So let's say you have, like, I don't know, something hits your lung, or something injures your stomach, or if you even need surgery, like, you're not going to have normal tissue or skin replace that. It's going to be hard bone, which is not good.
You injure your knee, ossified.
Can't
walk. You injure your eyelid, ossified.
Oh my gosh.
You injure your dick.
Oh, what?
Well, I guess that's a real boner now. Any tiny injury would potentially become devastating. If you strain your voice, you could permanently lose it.
Oh my
If
gosh.
you damage your airways, bony growth would restrict your breathing.
So if you have this, you basically have to live your entire life like in a box where you can't get hurt, nothing bad can happen to you. You got to make sure that you don't cough too hard or that you like slip and fall and hurt yourself, because if you do, even the smallest little thing could cause this ossification that he's talking about, and then you don't know how that's going to affect your entire system.
Even if you don't injure yourself, your body is constantly breaking down and repairing itself.
Oh, yeah,
so
true.
you're basically doomed. You'd be slowly and inevitably turning into a bone statue.
That doesn't sound
But
like a
the
superpower.
absolute worst part is there's almost no way this can be medically solved at the moment.
Wow.
As surgical removal of ossified tissue causes the body to repair the area with additional bone.
That is crazy.
Leading to a fatal catch-22.
I'm just curious as to why the body would do that, right? Like, why would why would your body system try to replace like what is injured with bone? It just doesn't seem to make any sense.
It's a disorder that could in theory be an awesome superpower, but in reality, it's
No good.
much more like a living nightmare.
Sad
Number
thing.
4, impervious to pain. Sensitivity to pain, or CIP, is a rare condition where an individual cannot feel pain.
Oh,
Dude, are you okay? Huh? What do you mean? An estimated 1 in every 25,000 people are diagnosed with this condition, and in most cases,
a lot.
the person has actually never experienced pain before. This condition is caused by a mutation to the PRDM12 gene, which is important for the development of pain-sensing nerve cells.
I'm actually kind of curious too. So he just said it's pain-sensing nerve cells, but does that mean that like Yeah, I don't know. Do you feel things differently? Like, do you feel like, somebody touching your arm? Would that be different? Because, that's not painful. But at the same time, like, if you can't feel pain, are there other things that you can't feel as well? Which, if that's the case, that would also kind of stink.
Affected individuals have been recorded to register touch, but the pain circuitry is completely cut off.
Oh, okay. So that answers my question.
Interestingly, CIP individuals are still susceptible to emotional pain. Physical and emotional pain are both processed by the same part of your brain, so this was surprising to me. But it's more of an issue with the physical sensory input as opposed to pain processing in the brain. This would be a pretty neat power to have for a super soldier though. Someone you could just throw into the middle of the battlefield who doesn't care if they get shot. There's actually a village in northern Sweden called Vitangi, where there's an abnormally high frequency of individuals with CIP. We might need to watch out for them in the near future.
Okay, that kind of makes sense to me. Somebody that doesn't really feel pain, or maybe some people also have like a mild form of CIP where they don't feel pain as badly as other people, so they would make really good super soldiers.
In reality, this condition is extremely dangerous to the affected individual because pain is vital for survival. Individuals with CIP often die during childhood because fatal injuries just go unnoticed. It is tragically very common for people to burn to death without even knowing.
Wow. Okay, that part is insane. The fact that a young kid might not realize that they are on fire or that fire is even bad. So out of everything that we've seen today, that is probably the worst.
For 3, indestructible bones.
Okay, this one I could get behind.
Trichodento-osseous syndrome is a rare condition affecting no more than a couple thousand people worldwide. It leads to people having bones that are so dense that they've been known to break baseball bats and even withstand car crashes.
Okay,
a
but
mutation
how?
in the DLX3 gene causes bone density in the affected individual to increase significantly. It reminds me a lot of Wolverine's skeleton.
Oh yeah, Wolverine has like the adamantium armor that they inputted into his already super-powered body.
If you combine this disorder with the regeneration from Stoneman syndrome, minus the ossification and increased likelihood of death, you're basically Wolverine.
Yeah, pretty much.
However, there are several major drawbacks. These individuals are cursed with having extremely weak teeth that break easily and painfully.
Like, that doesn't make any sense to me because your teeth are, I don't know, it seems like your teeth are very similar to your bones. So why would your teeth be not as strong when your bones are like basically titanium steel? That doesn't make any sense.
End up falling out completely in some cases.
What?
They have brittle nails and dry, curly, and flaky hair as well.
Okay, so whatever this mutation is, it's affecting the keratin in your body because that's what your nails are made of, that's what your teeth are made out of, and I believe that's also what your hair is made out of, which is kind of crazy that your fingernails and your hair are made out of the same stuff.
Research into TDO is prevalent right now, as it may hold the key to curing osteoporosis, which is the gradual weakening of skeletal structures many people develop in their old age. This would make a huge difference in improving their quality of life, as breaking bones from bad falls is incredibly common for elderly and in many cases life-threatening.
Oh, R.I.P.
Number 2, super strength.
This is an actual disorder?
Myostatin-related muscle hypertrophy is a rare condition that literally gives you super strength.
I thought he was going to talk about gigantism, which is the disorder where people literally do not stop growing. And the bigger you are, usually the stronger you also are.
Affected individuals have over twice the usual muscle mass of an average human. And they also have increased muscular strength, all without going to the gym or lifting weights to maintain
it's
it.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Waking up and just being jacked.
I'm
This
in.
condition
Sign
is
me up.
caused by a mutation in the MSTN gene, which is usually responsible for limiting muscle growth to prevent us from growing too large. But in these super strength individuals, it doesn't work as a limiter. A real-life case of this is Liam Hoekstra from the United States. Doctors recorded that he had prominent muscle development in his legs as an infant. Like, bro came out of the womb jacked. Yeah, he never skipped leg day in there. Bro could do a pull-up at 8 months old, had a six-pack when he was just 3 years old, and could lift 3-kilogram dumbbells with his arms fully extended at just 3 years old as well.
Okay, guys, I mean, right now, this sounds incredibly cool, but I'm just waiting for the drawback. There has to be something bad about this.
Well, do you understand how crazy that is? Bro probably only weighed 3 kgs at the time. To add icing on the cake, there are no known medical complications to this condition.
What?
All those benefits and not a single drawback has been
Are
found.
you kidding me?
That is just plain unfair.
Okay, that is the definition of a superpower. Everything else in this video, kind of super lame because there's bad stuff that happens. Meanwhile, this 3-month-old baby is doing backflips and push-ups like it's nothing.
And that's why it gets the number 2 spot on this list. Number 1, fearlessness.
That's a thing? There's people that don't have
Geordie
fear?
Cernick is a man from the UK who was diagnosed with Cushing's syndrome,
What?
where his body produced too much cortisol, which caused him to have severe, life-threatening weight gain and high blood pressure.
Okay, this sounds really bad.
After numerous brain surgeries and complications, in a final surgical operation, his adrenal glands were removed from his body.
Okay.
This gruesome operation required removing one of his ribs, and it was extremely painful. Thankfully, his Cushing's syndrome was cured as a result, but it came with a price.
So I'm pretty sure the adrenal gland is what gives you adrenaline, which is caused usually by something that is scary, something that like needs to get your body going so that you can get away from whatever the scary situation is.
When Geordie woke up in the hospital bed, he was on life support. He had numerous tubes coming out of him, and the doctors solemnly told him that there had been complications.
Sorry about that.
He had developed pneumonia and then meningitis, which is a potentially fatal infection of the brain. But surprisingly, upon receiving the bad news, Geordie had no response. He didn't feel anything. Among the many functions of the adrenal glands, one of them is influencing your body's stress response, also known as fight or flight, namely through the hormone adrenaline. Turns out, due to the removal of his adrenal glands, the part of Geordie's brain that controlled fear had been turned off. So now, he lives a life of zero fear. Can you imagine that? Not feeling the nervous pit in your stomach before an important test? Or not feeling shy and flustered when asking a girl out? Not having...
Well, honestly, guys, okay, me thinking about this right now, fear is one thing, right? But having confidence is a different thing. So it seems like he's kind of in the middle, where I guess maybe he could be confident, but like, it seems like he might just be neutral 24/7. Like, he's not scared, but he's also not like super excited anymore because he can't have the adrenaline in his body. So it kind of seems good, but also kind of bad.
Having a second thought when taking a risk? You'd be an absolute Giga Chad, especially when cases of anxiety and paranoia are increasing in our society right now.
That is true.
Fearlessness would drastically change the course of your life. But just like many of the other disorders on this list, there's a catch. Fear is a fundamental survival instinct.
That is
and
true.
The absence of it could be very dangerous.
This is kind of like the people from earlier that can't feel pain. Pain is something that over time we've gotten because it keeps us alive. Same thing with fear. Fear is like, let's say you are a caveman in a cave and a bear is coming. You're gonna get scared. If you're not scared of the bear, you're dead.
But even worse than that, Geordie lost something much more important after his
ribs?
surgery. He lost the ability to feel excited for
See, that's what I was
to
saying.
feel suspense.
I'm
and
big
in
brain.
some cases, even joy.
Yeah,
It
that's
took
pretty
away
sad.
his